feel like singing is one of those skills where you can spend years on it only to make no progress. How do I know? This was me. I've had many instances where even after years of putting in the work, practicing consistently, practicing daily, only to be told by people around me that I still sounded the same. And it's only really in the past few years where learning the things that actually do matter, the fundamentals of your voice, and actually working through them, where I've seen my voice really start to grow, even to the point where I'm receiving applauses when I perform live on the streets. And so really for today, I want to share with you 3 common singing mistakes, or really just 3 areas where people are spending too much time or they're focusing on too much and it's really not there to serve them. And of course, I'll share with you what you need to focus on instead. Now, real quick, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ivan. I'm a voice teacher who works with students from all around the world over Zoom. And really on this channel, my goal is to make learning how to sing as simple and as easy as possible. If that is up your lane, consider subscribing wherever you're joining me from. If you're interested in improving your voice with less of the headaches, I've got some links down in the description on how you can get in contact with me and how you can work with me. If you want to inspire our next episode, drop down into the comments below what you want me to talk about next too. Mistake number 1, caring too much about your voice type and how much range you've got. So I got stuck on this for the first 3 to 4 years of my singing journey. I naturally have a lower range, I've got a lower voice, and for some reason, maybe it's like, the general consensus of the internet or, whatever's kind of floating out there, I got stuck with the idea of having a vocal type, and that I was cursed with this lower voice. Maybe it's because I am a baritone. And I know a lot of you might feel like you're in a similar boat. Now, the issue I have with this, and the reason I call this a singing mistake, is when we start to focus or obsess about vocal types, it shifts our focus away from things that we can actually control, like learning how to feel or learning how to execute good technique, which in turn actually allows you to navigate your range better. For example, I've seen a lot of posts on Reddit where people will do these vocal type tests or these vocal range tests. Basically, they'll use a website or an app and they'll sing their lowest note and then they'll sing their highest note. And then from there, the website or the app will spit out an answer and they'll be like, you're a baritone, you're a soprano, you're a alto. But the challenge here is these tests tell you nothing about the quality of your notes. Like, does it actually sound good? Is it usable in a song? Is it in falsetto, or is it actually something with more connection? And usually when I hear that person singing or they share a clip with it, they're often just screeching. And there's this big kind of giant flip or hole in the middle of their range. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that range is not important. And if anything, I think it's incredibly important because I think it's a great sign of how good your technique is. What I am saying though is instead of focusing on how many notes on the piano you can hit, focus more on the quality of that technique. Like, how are you navigating up and down your range? Are you able to do it smoothly? Are you able to do it without feeling like you have to force more air out or you have to flip just to make it happen? When you spend more time actually addressing the technique, your range will come anyway. Now, the second mistake here is obsessing with terms, terminologies, and even just watching endless technique videos. And I definitely fell for this trap as well. When we're first learning to sing, we feel like to sing better, we need to learn, we need to understand more about how the voice works. And this is important. Without some kind of base understanding of the voice, it can be really hard to know where to start. And so we start to browse on the internet. And we hear about all these different terms, mixed voice, pharyngeal, nasality, adding twang, going to edge mode. Now, this is just my personal anecdote from my own experience and from my experience coaching clients around the world. But I find that when it comes to learning how to sing, there is this point of diminishing return where it's not about learning more ideas, learning more tips, techniques, little tricks, but rather, choosing a few key fundamentals and being able to execute them really, really well. For example, when it comes to developing range in the voice, being able to go up and down your range with less tension and more freedom, we're really trying to answer one simple question. How does it feel like to change pitch easily without anything else changing? This means, for example, if I'm going no, 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 no. How do I go up and down my range without getting louder? Without pushing more air, without changing the way I pronounce my words. No, 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 without changing any of that. Simply changing pitch. Now, this can be tough to execute and especially to do it across your entire range, but I'm finding it's really learning to tackle a few key fundamentals. It's not about picking up all these different terminologies or these different ideas or these different concepts that end up just confusing the heck out of you. If this resonates with you, you feel like you kind of just been going around in all these different directions, then I have posted a more in-depth tutorial on some of these fundamentals. I highly recommend checking out after this episode 129 and episode 138. Now, the third mistake here is not believing that you can do it. For me personally, I consider myself a pretty confident guy, but for some reason with singing, I've always just had this doubt in my mind that I couldn't do it well. And maybe it's from hearing people around us, people telling us that singing is a gift, you have to be born with it. Or maybe it's just from like listening to my own recordings from earlier days and thinking this sounds like a dying whale. And I know for us, some of us will spend years listening to these stories, these beliefs, these ideas in our head. And it can be a bit of like a self-sabotage in the sense where maybe every time you're practicing, you're telling yourself you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. But also self-sabotage in a sense where some of us just won't even get started. It's like someone who, because they've ingrained this kind of belief of they can never be in shape, they never actually start working out. They never start eating appropriately. Once again, from personal experience, two things have really helped me. The first one here is starting off with a what if mindset. Sure, some people are just naturally better at singing. They just kind of had it a bit easier. But what if I could just get 10% better than I am right now? Or sure, maybe my voice sounds like a screeching whale right now. But what if it's because I haven't developed my vocal technique yet? Another way is simply looking at artists, your favorite singers, and just asking yourself, could I get to that level? And I like this way of thinking because rather than focusing on what you cannot do, it starts to open you up to possibilities. However, tackling your mindset, I believe, is just one piece of the puzzle. What I find even better is giving yourself irrefutable evidence that you can get better. This just means giving yourself so much evidence that you can get better and that you can do it, such that there's really no other way of thinking about it. But here's a caveat. It often means taking action even when you're scared. For me, it was taking my very first voice lesson, even though I was just shaking right through it the whole time. Or it was performing on the streets for the very first time, even when I was so scared and every cell in my body wanted to go back home. But because each time I did it regardless of how I felt, regardless of the fear, and I came out alive, it starts to give you a lot of evidence that you can do it. And furthermore, when you can literally experience yourself getting better, your voice sounds better, you naturally start to wonder what else is possible. Anyway, that is all. Here are the 3 common singing mistakes that I've experienced that I wanted to share. If you found this episode useful, please share this with a friend or family or on social media. Really, really means the world to me. If you're listening from a podcast version, leaving a 5-star really, really helps this channel grow. If you want to improve your voice faster with less of the headaches, once again, links down in the description on how you can work with me. Apart from that, my name is Ivan. I'm your voice teacher. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.